Welcome to another week of Token. I am Donna. This is Steven. Steven, what is Token?
It's the place where you always know who you're gonna call.
Oh, I like how you're doing these now. So, if you get from that little bit of hint, the film that we did this week was drumroll, da 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 da, Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters. It's a film directed by Ivan Reitman. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ivan
If you
Reitman.
if you can't say his name, you've seen his movies. So Stephen, what is Ghostbusters? And we can dive into a little bit of the films done by Ivan Reitman, all that.
I
Say
mean,
everyone real quick. Stephen is a Ghostbuster nerd. You're only one Ghostbuster.
singular
Shh,
for
singular.
the multiple series though. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh wait, so
I love those.
you're a whole Ghostbuster nerd.
I I am. I will say I haven't seen the new ones yet though. So, but the cartoons and everything, grew up watching all that. That read the comic books, all that stuff. It's Ghostbusters. It's classic.
I love it. So
Right?
what is Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters is a 1984 comedy starring, I mean, the who's who of like, comedy movies, right? Dan Aykroyd. I
Bill
was going to say
Murray.
Billy Crystal, not Billy Crystal. Dan Aykroyd. I don't know what I was going to say. Billy Crystal. No, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Sigourney Weaver, uh, and what's wrong with me? And what's his name?
Ernie Hudson?
Ernie Hudson
Yo,
and,
you
and
are
Harold
having a
Ramis.
brain fart.
Rest in peace. Hmm?
Yeah, you are having a brain fart because you
I
literally
am.
5 seconds ago before we started. So it's that Steven's getting a little camera shy, everyone.
Mhm.
Joking, no, you're not. Yeah, so okay, describe more of the movie. What is like the in a nutshell what happens in it?
I mean, it's these three paranormal researchers that work out of a university need to get funding. They get kicked out, and they basically branch out onto their own to do paranormal research and investigation, but then also like ghost hunting in the city of New York until like a real threat comes into play that they have to basically deal with while fighting city inspectors who think that they're just a ruse, that they're scammers, right? Um, it's and fun and zaniness ensues.
Yeah, totally. So, um, why is this one of your favorite movies? I think that's so cute.
I mean, it's just classic. I grew up watching as a kid, right? It's funny. It's something as a kid for sure. If you're in anything remotely paranormal, supernatural, it's just entertaining. But it's just so creative, and Harold Ramis, uh, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, those guys are like comedy legends. So together, they really just. I think Harold Ramis wrote this too, right? So together, they
Yeah, he
really
did.
they create just like it's just comedy gold, and it's a really at the time it was a very inventive like movie that hadn't been done before either. And then you add in Sigourney Weaver and Ernie Hudson, and of course Rick Moranis, who's like retired now, right? Of Honey I Shrunk the Kid fame, and it's just a really well-rounded cast.
Yeah. I have a question. So, did the comic books come before or after the film?
I know they came after. I think this was an original property. Comic books and the cartoon came after the film
Okay,
as
okay.
an attempt, I think, for Paramount or whoever to just keep that IP rolling.
So I'm gonna introduce something a little bit new.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do something normal that we always do and something a little new. 1 to 10, how do you rate this film?
That was 10 out of 10. I
10 out
mean,
of 10. I would give 1 to 10. I would give it a 9. 1 to 10, how do you rate this film in its use of the token?
oh, I say four,
I
three
say
to four.
I would say 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think this film watching it, I was like, this is like the epitome of what it looks like to have a token within a movie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the history behind it is
Go
really
ahead. I'm
peculiar.
sorry.
No, I'm just saying the history is funny because it didn't have to be that way.
Oh, what do you mean?
The original script, Winston's character was in it from the jump, from page 8 all the way through. Yeah, yeah. Like a lot of people didn't know it. His character was written, and he acted with them. The original shooting draft of the script, his character was in it from the jump. But the day before shooting, they sent him a new draft where his character didn't come in until halfway in the movie.
Why did they do that? Do you know?
I mean, even he said he still doesn't really know. This is the really, I guess, the one major point of controversy for the movie. And uh, Ernie Hudson's such a great guy. He still says this is like one of his most favorite roles. He had a lot of fun. He owes a lot of his career to it. But he said he thinks that the studio thought that they could better sell these three guys because all three, Aykroyd, Ramis, and Murray, all came from Saturday Night Live, so they were already famous comedians. And they think that he thinks the studio decided to pitch it with these guys as the focus because they thought they could sell more tickets since it was well-known Saturday Night Live comedians, and so they decided at the last minute to include Winston marginally instead of from the jump like he originally was written in the script. And some people have rumored that they thought Eddie Murphy was the original character they wanted since they couldn't get an actor and since they couldn't get Eddie Murphy. And they got Ernie Hudson, who wasn't as well known at the time, that they decided to pull his character, say movie posters and everything could focus primarily on the three most famous faces, which also it indirectly meant that his character wasn't going to be on the poster, a lot of the posters and everything else too. Yeah, it's wild.
Wow. Well, that's trash.
Absolute trash. Absolute. Especially when he was there rehearsing with them all the way up to the day before the shoot as a role that was there from page 8 is what he said.
Wow. It's funny because all you said is true. Like he doesn't show up till page 40. And then to me, he was used more so as a device to tell story for other people and never has his own he never has his own moments. It's kind of weird because they switched the script up like that. It kind of makes his presence weird.
It seems weird. They kind of play it off as like, oh, we need more. We get so much work. We need more help.
Oh, great. 2 more free repeaters.
This is Winston Zeddemore. He's here about the job.
Beautiful. You're hired. Ray Stantz, Pete Venkman.
Congratulations.
Can you help me, please?
And that's really the only way you can intro a character like that mid-movie for this type of job and not make it look like we just didn't want to bring him in till the end,
Right. And it completely underutilized. The first scene that you see him in is they're like, bring him in for the job. He's hired on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next scene is about him he's used a device, like I said, to explain how the system works.
Close. Lock the system. Set your entry grid. Neutronize your field. And the light is green. Crap is clean.
That's basically his next role. I remember him using the device. And then after that, they use him. He has that car scene with Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about the end days and talking about Jesus.
Do you remember something in the Bible about the last days when the dead would rise from the grave?
I remember Revelation 7:12.
And I looked as he opened the 6th seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became as black as sackcloth, and the moon became as blood.
And the seas boiled, and the skies fell.
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day.
So like that's the first time we actually learned something about him. We learned that he's a religious man. That's the first information we learned about him. Then after that, I think everything with him is just a part of like fight scenes, right?
Well, it's him coming in and like hide on the spot. They're like, do you believe in ghosts, paranormal, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I believe in anything you can tell me as long as there's a steady paycheck involved. So And it's funny because this character was supposed to be a military, an ex-military, like Air Force pilot or something, who was much more like scientific and by the book until he saw this and then became like converted. But in this one, he seems much more just blue collar, off the streets guy who needs a job, doesn't have any specific background, and he's religious. He's like, "Do you believe in God?" I love Jesus style, man. Like just all that, and then they start talking about the end days, and then the next scene I think is where they really, I think the next heavy scene is where they get arrested by the prick and they have to go to the mayor's office and they're all arguing and fighting and then they're in jail and everything. And then what I actually had an issue with those scenes were that because they introed him as a blue collar worker, like a blue collar dude that didn't really have any skin in the game and just had this like baptism by fire. When they're arrested, he's like part of the team, but he's not part of the team because he's like, "Hey man, I need a phone call. I just work with these guys, you know." He's like, "I got to get my own lawyer," and so it didn't seem like he was really invested with the team. Like he's just still there for a paycheck, as opposed to being there from the jump.
Well, I mean, I actually think that makes sense for his character, but it doesn't, it never gives you like, he never has like a true connection within the story. Like you said, like he's there for a paycheck. I think it makes sense for his character to want to find his own stuff away from these guys because like they've only introduced him from the beginning as like he's just there for a job. Right. But it's just
Yeah.
so they just very much so underutilized him. I think also something to point out, which I thought was interesting, because I do remember the jail scene. And he doesn't have a lot of lines. Like I think in the office scene, he doesn't have a lot of lines. I think in the jail scene, he just has the couple where he's like talking and like, but he doesn't like they don't have him contribute, like they bring up this scene, they have this scene for him that's the only standalone scene where you learn something about him, where he talks about Jesus, right? And he talks about the end days and he's vibing with him on that. But the thing is that it would have been different if like they had that and it actually played into what solved what happened in the end, and it doesn't. It's just like basically him telling a theory of what he thinks is happening, but his theory or that conversation doesn't contribute to the story.
No, it just contributes to what their to exposition on what is the situation is like with the villain. Like if the villain comes to win,
Right.
like it just contributes to exposition on that, like what's going to happen, but not a solution. No, not a solution
Well, not
to
a
it.
solution and not an accurate portrayal of what is actually happening.
Yeah, it's weird because he says, it's he talks about the Bible in days, and it gives Ray that idea, and so Ray starts thinking like, oh, like maybe that is what's going on, and they start talking about revelations and all that. And so when they go to the mayor's office, they repeat that. They're like, the mayor's like, okay, what's going on? He's like, just imagine it's the end days. It's like revelation end times. Like we're talking about biblical end of the world shit, right?
Right. But
And then no, go ahead.
no. You're completely right. It's just that is the way that they do utilize that moment. So I guess that's the plant and payoff, but I would say it's a very weak plant and payoff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his character itself doesn't contribute as a whole, and that's the problem with bringing him in so late, right? To the solution, they could have still had his background be like, look, my father's a Baptist minister, blah blah blah, and I know that the Bible says this and that, so maybe we should try this, and then they try that at the last minute, and then boom, like save the day, right? They could have done something like that, but instead, like each one of the characters, the three other characters are in it from the jump, and they each have a certain role to play, right? Uh, uh, Egon is the scientist. He's coming up with these inventions. Peter's the researcher. He's interviewing people. He's doing research, and Ray is the like investigator, and he's doing all that investigative work that all contributes to figuring out what's going on with Gozer, the Keymaster, and then winning at the end. I do like. I will say that one of my favorite lines is like really probably my favorite line of the whole movie is when at the end when when Gozer is like, "Are you a god?" and Ray's like, no," because Peter's like, "Hey, yeah, answer." Ray's like, "No," and then she blasts him up damn near off the side of the building. Winston's like, "Ray, when somebody asks you if you're a god, you say yes." Right? Like, so he has some great lines, but it's not like his character as a whole, his background contributes to solving the problem.
Yeah. So also, if I was looking out throughout the movie for other kind of tokens, this movie is pretty white. This movie is pretty Wonder Bready. The only other
Uh,
black folks I saw were at the jailhouse, which I was like, this is the most black people I've seen in this whole movie, and they all in jail. So that was
yeah,
fun. And then I would like to say the biggest and coolest token cameo, even though it's for a
yeah, yeah,
little bit,
yeah.
is my man, Carl Winslow.
What makes you such a big expert? This. I'm Lieutenant Carl Winslow, Chicago PD. You're under arrest.
Black icon.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Listen,
yes,
I saw
yes.
Carl. My
Yeah.
thing, doesn't he always play a cop?
He really does. I think it's part of a thing now with casting him where they do it on purpose because Reginald VelJohnson, by the way, right, who is Carl Winslow on Family Matters, he plays a cop there. He plays a cop in Die Hard, right? He everything everything he's in, people want to, and I guess yeah, that's right. He's a cop in Family Matters, right?
Yeah, he's a cop. He's the dad
Yeah.
cop. And then he's a cop in this. That's
That's
great.
the thing. And Die Hard. So he and I've seen trying to remember, there's a cartoon I saw where he did a guest appearance, and he's a cop in that too. And I think that's, I guess, their attempt at like poking fun at how he's always playing a cop. But like, I can't remember if it was. I really can't remember if it was American Dad or Ricky Morty. I can't remember, but it's one of these adult cartoons, and they have a high school named after him. It's Reginald VelJohnson High School, and he
That's
pops
so
in
dope.
there. Yeah, it's dope. It's dope. I just can't remember which cartoon it is.
I love it.
But I think even then he's like a retired cop or something. Like,
He's literally like a black icon. He's the black dad.
everything.
He's so like he's just so, I don't know. He's like I don't know. He's like the black dad. He's like this teddy bear. And so when I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes me so happy. And I was like, wait, he's a cop again? He always a cop. But it's great. So I of course I noticed when he popped in. Other than that, like I didn't see anyone black. You might seen some extras, but really it was a pretty white
Yeah.
movie.
One of the DAs or something in the mayor's office was black. I noticed that. I don't remember if he even has a name, but he's one of the ones that kind of separates him when the red-headed dude and what's his name? When he and Bill Murray's character almost get in a fight.
But you're grasping for straws for black folks in this movie.
Oh yeah. 84 is 84, and it's. I mean, New York even in the 80s, there were black folks everywhere. There were black people in the crowd when they're chanting and like cheering them on when they get out to go run to the top of the building. But that's it. Oh yeah, you grasping at straws.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying. I just wish they could have like had more Winston in there because he's a fun character, man.
He's a black legend. Like he is that man. He's an amazing actor. He always, it's so funny though. I'm watching this one show on, I think I'm watching on BET. I have no idea. My mom watches a show and I think it's called like Family something. And it's about a family that's like a crime family and he's on it. And he's like a crime boss or something. It's his whole family of like assassins and all this. It's a really cool idea. Production's not that great. The majority of the show is violence, sex, drugs. But hey, it's entertaining. I don't know, but it's
the family business.
Family business,
Family
yes.
business. Yeah,
What's interesting about him though is he always he's one of those actors that like when he's in it, it's like you get him. Like he'll play the character. He's not a disappearer, but he goes into the role. So like I would say like who's a disappearer. Like Leonardo DiCaprio is a disappearer. He goes in a role, he disappears. I think as he's become more famous, it's a little harder to disappear. But like he goes pretty much fully in his roles. I would say like Robert De Niro isn't a disappearer, but he goes into his roles. And I would say he is like a lesser little bit of that. Like you really feel him still in every role I feel him in, it's him. I'm not like he's a great actor, but it's like you get his voice is very like the way he speaks is very like signature to who he is, kind of the way he carries it. He's always kind of suave, like he's a cool dude.
Yeah,
And
he's got that golden voice.
yeah, he brings that to every role. I think we can both agree that he's very much so underutilized in this film.
Oh, by far.
How do you feel about his blackness? Do you think that was ever like used as like a point of his character or how he functioned throughout the film?
I think his character is representative of like somebody's black dad, black uncle, like the whole, especially the church talk in the car, right, about the Bible. That just I've had those discussions plenty of times, especially with Revelations with family.
I'll be talking about Revelations like that.
Sometimes, yeah, girl. Especially if the uncle's been drinking and stuff.
They want to talk about Revelations. They want to talk about the end of the world. Oh my God.
Well, it's easy to compare that to like politics and current state of times, like at any year.
That's low key. That's true. That's true. I can't.
So,
I can't lie.
They don't,
this is definitely the end of time.
If they don't like what's going on, there's an uncle like, oh, it's the end of time. Y'all read Revelations? Look at this. Look at it.
He ain't. Listen, I'm with him. I'm like, yeah, man, it's crazy out here. This ain't gonna get any better. Yeah. No, that was definitely. I would say like a very black, like a black conversation, or like something that reflects like kind of our culture and stuff. But if he was not in this movie, do you think it'd make a difference?
Probably not a whole lot, which is unfortunate because
that's a sad thing to say. Yeah,
his character came in so much. They could have. I mean, he was just kind of there for exposition. They could have literally removed him and just had the big three, and it would have been virtually the same movie.
Yeah, it's really sad. I feel like, we don't really learn a lot about him. Like you literally have to paste together who he is. Like you don't really get that. You don't really get who he is, his background. You don't know if he has a family. You don't know nothing. Like he's there and he's out. It kind of, so in the recent Ghostbusters, which you haven't seen, the one, what is her name? I love her. Leslie Jones plays like kind of his character to that. But you get like she's there, she's working somewhere. She even helps in that film, she's the one that brings the vehicle. So I hadn't seen the original Ghostbusters in so long that I thought that a part of his role is he brings the vehicle because in the newer film, she's like, I got it from my uncle. He works at a funeral home. And so like I thought that like they make her more of the team, like I kind of I've actually seen that movie so many times because because I watch it. It's like when I'm going to bed, there's certain things that I've seen a lot that I like to watch when I go to bed because I don't have to focus on it, but like I get comfort in like hearing it. And Ghostbusters weirdly is that movie. I've watched that movie so many times. I watch it to go to bed.
You're talking about the Paul Feig directed one, right?
The new one. But so I hadn't seen this older one in so long that I thought that he was more of the team. And I watched and I was like, sorry, they're building. He didn't bring anything. It's just such a shame because he's like, it literally just felt like tokenism. It was like we just have somebody black. Or like you said, like if what you said about the script is true, which it is, it just feels like they left him in there just because all the work he put in. Like it really didn't. It's just sad. So how many Ghostbusters are there?
There's the first two, then there's the Ghostbusters reboot that Paul Feig directed in 2016. Right. And there's a Ghostbusters Afterlife that is coming out, I think, this year.
So is he a big part of
Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son?
Oh, okay. So I'm so
No, go
sorry.
ahead. Go.
I just want to, I was trying to figure out his storyline. I mean, I interrupt you so much, but I want to know, in the second movie, does his storyline increase? Like, does he become more of like a piece?
So, and I love the second movie too, right? With Vigo the Carpathian and all this stuff. But unfortunately, it's not a whole lot. Like even even Ernie said that uh like they did this movie and they cut him early and everything else. And he just dealt with it. Doesn't have a lot of say, he's the actor anyway. Um, but he figured after when they did the second one, it would change. But he said when they came back like 5 years later to do the sequel, they did the same thing to him. That he was only in like half that one too, and so that he didn't understand. But Ernie Hudson seemed to be such a nice guy. He says that once you become really angry, it's all over. So he just kept working and staying positive and just tried to look at the bright side of being involved with both of the projects in the first place. But I give him commendations because they made a cartoon too, right? And the cartoon had his character in it, but he wanted to act in the cartoon as the voice, and they gave him the option to do the voice for Winston, and they brought him in to do the to do the audition, and the director had he said the cartoon could have made a big difference in his life. I assume he's like it was a steady paycheck, like weekly. It was more than just one feature. It was like a weekly paycheck and everything else. But he said they brought him in to do the voice audition for that, and the director kept telling him what Ernie Hudson in the movie did and would have said, and kept explaining what Ernie Hudson should sound like. And he said it was the weirdest thing. And he called his agent, and they said that they used some excuse like they thought he was going to be doing something else or be too busy, so they didn't go with him for the cartoon to do the voice of the character he did in the movie. So and it did bother him that they gave it to somebody else, but he said that once again it was a learning experience and growing experience for him and stuff. He's such a positive guy, because I would have been pissed.
I would have been pissed too. It's just
Although
another
ironic,
thing for learning, huh?
yeah,
That
yeah.
racism and trash in Hollywood.
And ironically enough, which I didn't realize, I guess they gave the voice part to Arsenio Hall for that.
That's it! Oh, man, that's it!
So if you had to make a movie for him, which I think they should do that. I think now, like the way like just things are happening is like, first of all, we want to see more people of color. Like this is a big franchise. And I know they're doing this Afterlife one, but the Afterlife one is still focused on one of the white guys in the film. Sorry. If they had to do a film for him, what do you think it could be and what do you think it could look like?
So I will say that the Afterlife, supposedly Ernie Hudson has said that they finally do him justice in the Afterlife.
Really?
Because that one, I think I didn't see the 2016 one yet. I don't remember if any of the original cast even shows up in that one.
Only Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. So I think all three of the original cast members are still alive, because Egon's character, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Harold Ramis. He passed away, but apparently the other three cast members are supposed to be in Afterlife for some amount, and I guess it's like passing the torch. And Ernie Hudson has said that they do give Winston Zeddemore's character justice in that version, thanks to Jason Reitman, who's the director.
Come on, Black reparations.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. But I think it'd be dope to go. I really want to find a copy of that original shooting script to read it. Everybody on the internet is like looking for it, and I guess somebody can find it. But
a white executive burned it in the back.
he as a parent, like, I think it'd be great to see what his character's end of the story looked like before he met up with them. Like how he went about his life before, then when he met up with them, like what it's like at home. Does he have a wife? Like, you have kids? Like, is he going home telling his kids, man? Because he tells Mary, look, I've seen shit that will turn you white, right? So is he like telling his family, like, look, say your prayers, go to church on Sunday, wash your hands, because there's some crazy shit out here. Like, or what happens for him between the first and the second movie? Like, what does he do? Is he taking some breathing time? Like, does he get into his own little like version of The Haunting or one of those movies, like on his own? Like, I think it'd be fun to just see Winston's character like solo living his life and gets involved in his own little comedy ghost caper and has to call the guys up, but they're like, they're busy doing their own thing, so he has to solve it on his own.
I really like that angle of like his life before them, especially if he had seen supernatural things, and what drew him to it. So if it's like kind of his origin story, that'd be really dope, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe when he was a kid, he saw something and like this, like having like the spiritual element and also like the ghost element of it. And like maybe he was like doing all this and he was like down on his luck for some reason. And then like that's when it goes into him joining Ghostbusters as like a way, and like using like his skills. So it'd be even cool to see like his skill set that they didn't show in the film. So like, I and it could even like, yeah, I think that'd be really dope, is like to have like his origin story. Yeah, I love that. I think that'd be really cool. And then you like watch the like 1984 movie and you're like, wow, they really underutilized all that power he has from this film. Like these white guys were like, let me take it. And really he like had the answer the entire time. I think that'd be cool. Okay, so is there anything else about this film that stood out to you? Because I have a red flag.
Oh yeah. Shoot, I've seen it so many times. I've probably just absorbed everything and accepted it. I don't know. Shoot, what is it?
Red flag: Bill Murray's character in his pursuit of women.
Oh yeah. By far, that one is a red flag. That still makes you a little uncomfortable when you see it, because he was relentless.
He was relentless. He was inappropriate. He just like, and it's just like, oh, this is normal how a guy pursues you. He literally, the woman asked for help. And like the first day he's like, oh, is this your house? Like he's such a creeper. Like if in real life, you would never, ever invite this man back to your house because he's going to try to sniff your panties and claim that he's doing it for research.
Oh my God.
So his whole storyline, the first time you meet him, he is shocking the hell out of this one guy just to impress this girl. And he's overly like on.
Well, he's shocking him. It's all, of course, to establish how much of a playboy flirt he is, right? But he's shocking the hell out of this poor dude. He's given the first thing he's doing an ESP test, right? With the flashcards that have shapes on them. And he's doing it with a cute blonde girl and this curly-haired, brown-haired guy. And the brown-haired guy actually is getting the ESP test right? If you're paying attention. He's actually got some type of telepathy because he's guessing which cards are there, but Bill Murray's lying to him and shocking him just to flirt with the girl who's way off and not getting him correct at all. But he's telling her she's the one that's got ESP, so he can flirt with her and get a date out of her later, right?
So he can sleep with her. I've never felt the get my dick wet energy so hard without tell me you want to get your dick wet without telling me you want to get your dick wet. That is literally how he was played this whole movie. And I was just like, yo, like clutch your pearls. Like I think Bill Murray's funny, but like it was cringy. And it was like, he was a lot.
Ooh, that character is very high key creeper status. And it's the 80s and it's how they did comedy, so we're like, oh, it's so funny. Bill Murray's character is just such a shameless flirt, but he goes overboard. Like he chases Sigourney Weaver's character, tells him she tells him repeatedly, like, not interested. I just need you to look at my place for me. Look at the fridge. There was something in there. He's like, Dana, I don't, we go out on a date, well, you keep denying me. Like, and he does. And then I'll give his character credit though, because when she is a floating, possessed floating 4 feet above the bed. She asks him to sleep with her. He's like, nah, no, I think you should probably go sleep by yourself and go to bed. Like he drugs her up and she goes to
Best
sleep.
joke out of that was when she's like, when the ghost is like, I want you inside of me. And he's like, it sounds like you got like 2 people already inside of you. I'm going like back. That's a hilarious joke. And I guess that is a PSA for consent, people. If the person is under the influence of demons, you should probably not do it. So at least he knows how to.
PSA.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know. Consent. At least, even if she says she wants it, if it's obvious she's drunk, high, or just dead to the world, maybe you should.
Or possessed.
You shouldn't do it. PSA. Yeah, he was a red flag.
Creep. Yeah.
Talk about rewarding bad behavior. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tell me the script was written by a man without telling me the script was written by a man. That's, yeah.
Well, the funniest part is that like all this fighting he's doing for, then he kind of gets that opportunity, and it's like, no, not at all how he would have wanted it. It's like, nah, I'm good.
Good for him to finally stop, even after creeping her out on the first day. Yeah. There is a limit, huh? So yeah.
Every guy's got one.
So that's pretty much all I had for Ghostbusters. It's the epitome of token and underutilizing, and it's just disappointing because it's a fun franchise, fun movie, but it's just like and the token, like thumbs down, waste of space when it comes to like actually highlighting and using your black character to contribute to the film. You know, it might be the worst. You think I think this is worse than Homegirl from 10 Things I Hate About You.
She's probably got just as much screen time. Gabrielle Union's character in that.
Yeah, she's pretty bad.
It might be tied because I think they probably have the same amount of screen time. You don't really know anything about either of their backgrounds. I think honestly in this one, Winston's character just shows a little more of his blackness, but not a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say Gabrielle. I think there was, you know what I would say for 10 Things About You? I feel like there was, I don't think that she didn't show that she was a black woman. I think that they put her in situations where it would have been evident and they didn't do it. I don't think there's any situations in this specifically where you're like, wow, they just don't have him like being a brother right now, or like they don't acknowledge like how his race is playing in things. That would be my only like kind of difference. It's just like they had her in situations where obviously like race would be a factor, and it just spoke to them not even like acknowledging her as like an element of the storytelling or what would be natural for her character. So yeah, man, that was, and you're telling me what I thought of when you talked about this was they gave her the Rachel True treatment. They gave him the Rachel True treatment.
Yeah. Because he's not really. So at this point, because there's some posters, and I guess they at this point kind of been able to go back and retroactively put stuff in. But there's posters where he's in, like part 2, he's on the poster, right? Part 1, a lot of the posters is just the 3 of them. But then there's posters for part 1. I'd have to check it. Let me go get my box cover real quick because I want to see now. Actually, no, I already know. The box cover is just the logo. It's just the logo. So like for a lot of it though, they did. I will say it doesn't seem like he gets uninvited Comic Cons and stuff like that he's at. But the first movie poster is just him for the most part. There's a few that they retroactively changed, but
wow.
But he does get invited to, because I was reading an article, he said, he does Comic Cons and stuff like that too.
Good. Give him his reparation. Black reparations. That's what we need. Okay, where can they find us, Stephen?
You can find us live and direct on YouTube at Token Blacks in Cinema, Instagram at Token Blacks in Cinema, iTunes at Token Blacks in Cinema, and all your favorite podcasting platforms. If we're not there, let us know.
Yeah.
And if you have any new movies or suggestions we should chat about, hit us up in the comments.
Yeah, and as always, please subscribe, rate, review, share. We want to hear if you love us. We don't want to hear if you're racist and you just want to say this is racism by talking about black people. We don't want to hear you. You can actually go away. Or wait, no, view the content, thumbs up, then go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't thumbs down, thumbs up. But y'all have a good day. Peace out. They're not gonna see your peace sign because you didn't say peace.
Okay. Peace.
There he goes.